Welcome to the Kamme Lee Consulting Podcast. My name is Magnus, and this is my friend Nikolaj. We will talk about technology, AI, subjects as diet, exercise, and politics. Thank you for tuning in. I will start by presenting myself. I'm Magnus. I'm 25 years old. I've been working as an IT consultant for the past 4 years. Since last year, I've been working on my company to help the Europeans regain a technological power position. And today I bring my best friend Nikolaj, and he will present himself now.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's really weird to be talking English to you when I've known you pretty much all my life, and maybe we haven't even had a conversation, at least not under 4 eyes in English for more than 10 seconds, I suppose, for the last 25 years or something. But yeah, what I do is the last 2-3 years I've been sort of trying to break into the e-commerce space. I've been a full-time professional poker player for 5 or 6 years or something, but that's always been, I guess, a stepping stone to my broader ambitions and other goals in life. And I've sort of, since I was young, been inspired by entrepreneurs and people who decide for themselves what they're going to spend their time on. So yeah, right now I'm about to launch a business called Salome with my older sister. It's in the baby space, so initially not something I would delve into because I don't have a partner even, but let alone a new family. But my sister came to me with this idea and project and saw a gap in the market. So I guess my experience as an e-commerce operator more combined with her skill sets are gonna hopefully create a successful business in that space.
Yeah, sounds like a very good project.
It's coming from before where I was solo founder in my brand Espira, selling sleep remedies for people to sleep better. Just having a co-founder, I can already feel like
you can spar with each other.
You can spar so much. Which is great, and we haven't even launched yet. We're just about to actually, I think, in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting. Yeah.
And how do you feel about starting a business here in Denmark?
It's twofold because I guess if you compare it to what you hear about starting businesses in other places, say the US is the best example. I guess there's a lot more capital and completely different mindset in the US as far as I hear. But I think the good thing about Denmark is that we have a somewhat of a security net, which means that we can always, it was easier for me to, despite it being like against the current and the mainstream thing, to not go to university, just as you didn't go to university. It was easier because like knowing that I could always just drop back in uni and get SU, get a government paycheck every month and live off that and not have a lavish lifestyle. I don't have a need for that anyway. So taking the risk is easier in a way because you have that safety net, and also, we're both lucky to have a huge safety net and our parents, even though they have worked hard all their lives, but they obviously trust in what we can accomplish in the long term. I know my parents are sometimes pulling out their hair because they have 4 children who are trying to be entrepreneurs and go their own separate ways.
So can you explain that? You have a family of 4, and all 4 of you are starting a business.
I have a really close relationship to all my siblings. I have an older brother who I live with. I have an older sister whom have visited just the last 4 days in a row, for example, to give a glimpse into our relationship, and then a twin sister whom I'm really close with also, but she does live further away. And I think having such a close relationship with my siblings, that has, there's the saying about the 5 people you have the closest are, making up your little world, and those are the biggest influences in your life. And so I think I think I was the one to start like being more against the sort of the mainstream way. I mean, obviously my brother wanted to become a helicopter pilot and went to become a helicopter pilot in Norway, and that's one of the only educations that the government doesn't pay for in Denmark. But so he kind of, I mean, but that's still like within the frame of normal education, I guess. So and I was just working in my gap year and then playing poker on the side, and then decided that I was making enough to just do that. While living at home, albeit. And so I think being the one to take that more risky step has sort of influenced my siblings as well, and they've just, I guess they see the freedom in it. Yeah, they've totally adopted it, and now my older sister and I are starting a business together. She's been doing her podcast the last year. Although now she does have a job as well, but I think we all definitely have ambitions to not necessarily create great, like, big businesses, whatever. It's more about living a fulfilling life and working for yourself and creating value for others. My twin sister Nadia she was just really good at jumping onto the whole creator influencer, like being a creator on social media rather than just a consumer. And so she just started posting and was very consistent has been for 1.5 years or something. But like, I remember her first 5 or 6 months, she posted every day. And that consistency, led to her now only living from that. From sponsorships, and she's having fun with it but she's working hard, And my brother's also got a marketing business or agency. So we definitely have influence on each other. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
I want to ask, which person in historical aspect or today, do you think is a great front figure or a mentor for you in your life, is inspiring?
Yeah, basically all throughout my life until I was 20 or something, the clearest answer would have been my dad.
Yeah.
And it's changed just because my perspective have changed. I mean, in every aspect that has to do with family and raising kids and working hard and all that, it's still my dad, who's the biggest mentor influence, I would say. But now, like, I'm very much into looking at history and looking at founders. Like, I love listening to the David Senra podcast called Founders, he just reads all these biologies and talks about going back into history, Rockefellers, the Elons of the world, the Jeff Bezos, the Warren Buffett, all of these characters. But I think Elon is one that comes to mind because he just dares to, like, risk it all, build something big, like create huge value, even though he's very much a character. I think I'm still really inspired by what he does and what he accomplishes and how goal-oriented he is. But I think another mention, now that I think about it, is a guy called Devon Levesque. So he's way younger. I think he's just 32 or something. But he's essentially living the life that I see myself living in 10 years, where he's creating a bunch of businesses. He's got something, he's exited recently a business called ProMix, which is like a natural supplement brand that he has. But then he also lives a life of a bunch of adventures. Like he goes climbing mountains, runs marathons, and does like hard physical stuff. And then at the same time, he has a farm project, or he owns a farm basically. After his first, I think, business exit, he bought up a farm like an hour from New York called the Sweet Honey Farm. And he has this project where he just brings community together, and they have agriculture. They everything that they grow is like sort of community led. So he has the community around him that can buy the food that they produce, and they have, he has very much into wellness, like has a sauna and a gym, and just brings people together. And I mean, since I learned about him and saw that, he's definitely been like a front figure or someone living a life that I could see.
I have always been inspired by historical figures. So
Yeah,
my mentors is like Julius Caesar and
right.
also Spartacus. And
You're a big Spartacus guy.
yeah, but also Julius Caesar. He was a guy he came from. He was a normal farmer, like life, and then he joined the military as a normal soldier. And later on, he was slowly building up his legacy and his power, and gaining like political influence. And he was like at his time, the most powerful people was a guy called Marcus Crassus and another guy called Pompey. And in the end, he managed to convince them to make a 3-part with them. And then he became like the third most important person in the Roman Empire together with them. And in the end, he managed to convince them to make him the leader, which meant that he could further snowball and become the dictator and the king of the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
So,
Caesar.
yeah, Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
But I think today people just think Julius Caesar is like the guy from the cartoons. But actually he's
my first thought is Gladiator. Just the character Julius Caesar in Gladiator, who's the villain. I guess there's more to that story. I don't know.
You mean John Quinn Phoenix?
Yeah.
He's playing Commodus. He's playing
Commodus.
He's playing like a different emperor or the son of another emperor.
Okay. Because I mean, I've been unsure whether there's a difference.
Commodus was he was a different dictator also. But what he was famous for was he was going to the gladiator, and then he was giving the gladiators like a dull blade, and then he would fight them with a sharp blade, and then he would beat the gladiators. So actually, he's Commodus.
But he's further along in history, right?
It's not the same time period. Also, his father was also a very good a leader.
Yeah. Marcus Aurelius.
Yes,
right.
That's true.
Yeah.
And then Commodus killed his own father because he wanted to make in the movie is Maximus.
Yeah.
The main character. He wanted to make him the emperor, the next emperor, and then assassinated his own father to prevent this.
I mean, I've seen that movie like 10, 15, 20 times, I think.
Okay.
But but that's right. I did know that there was a difference actually. Yeah, but they in the movie they screamed Caesar. Also.
Yeah.
That's why there's like the confliction.
Okay. But to return to my point, I think people today think of Caesar as like more like a stupid like dictator, like some evil person who just rich and powerful. But actually he fought his way there, and he was a very smart and strategic person.
Yeah, sure.
So even he, in this time period, did a lot of crazy stuff, like killing people, which we wouldn't do the same way today in politics. He still, there was different times, and he played the game, political game.
Yeah. I mean, I know we shared the fact that we can admire anyone who rose from nothing to success.
Yeah, and a lot of the richest people today has all risen from like poor,
Yeah. Actually, today I heard, because I'm listening to the Moonshots podcast, which I've been trying to get you on as well.
Yeah.
But they, just a side note, but there was some fact about, it used to be that the most, like the wealthy 1% were mostly, heirs to wealth, born into it. Yeah. And then now this obviously totally switched from people going from nothing to
but it's because when you're born in poverty, you have the motivation to change your life and to bring wealth to yourself and your family and whatever. But when you're born into wealth, you will become like used to it, and money will grow on the trees, and you will
lazy about it.
Yeah, you will become lazy and
have that hunger.
Exactly, and I think generally the child will become like more weak because of this.
Sure.
Yeah.
They
will. It will be harder for them to actually become a very strong leader. And,
when you presumably looking forward like 10, 15 years when you have a family yourself and kids. Have you thought about whether you want to, I mean, it is all just a hypothetical because you don't know where you are in 15 years, but let's say you're very successful and wealthy. How much would you want to give to your children?
I think I would open like in Denmark it's called like a stock account with it's a special word in Danish called aktiesparekonto. But I would open this for my children, and then I would just invest the stock and then let it grow slowly, but without giving them the access. Like just as like maybe a secret or like something they don't have on their own bank account. Like
you get it when you're an adult.
Or even just as a backup or something. So they.
Yeah, I mean that's a good plan. But what about like how much you want to give them whenever raising them? Like, do you want to? Because Naval, for example, I know that his parenting strategy is basically saying yes to everything.
But that's wrong.
But teaching them the consequences of all their actions.
Yeah.
So whenever his children ask them for ice cream, he's gonna say yes. Like he's saying yes to. I mean, there's something out of the boundaries, obviously. Yeah. But then he's gonna then he's gonna explain to them how much sugar is in it, and how many ice cream they would eat, and then can you see that whenever you eat a lot of ice cream, you get lazy, you get tired, you not have all the energy. So like this, that's at first when I read that or listened to it, I was like, really saying yes to everything because, I mean that seems wild, but as long as they know the consequences, they can they learn to make the choice for themselves.
I think children are thinking too short term.
Yeah.
So I don't know if his reasoning is very smart, but I don't know if in theory is smart, but I don't know if like when you're doing it, that they will really like, maybe they will just say, and then they will still take it.
They keep eating ice cream.
And then they don't care.
But
people today just eat more fast food, even though everyone knows that it's very bad, and it will stay in your body for a long time after you eat the bad fast food.
Yeah, I don't know. Also don't necessarily agree with that, but
it's a funny way.
It's definitely a different perspective. But I mean, there's also very wealthy people who are like, I'm not gonna give more than someone who's like a middle class family would give their children, and then they're gonna have to learn to hustle for it themselves, and then maybe at a certain point when they've created wealth for themselves, maybe it can be shared in a fund or whatever.
That makes sense. I think that's good also. But I would ask your child what they want also, because there's different people have different goals. Some people have massive ambition like Elon Musk, who will want to do anything and go anywhere. But some people also will be happy with just being able to decide to go out fishing, have a more simple life.
I mean, I think also there's a certain, my brother and I will often actually talk about this, the fact that, and also my other siblings, that we would almost want to have a rougher, like harder childhood, because we know that history says, or that basically you have to have some adversity and know what it feels like to then go past, and really have that extra gear. And sometimes I mean, you might recognize it sometimes, that is there really enough hunger when you subconsciously know that you have always something to fall back on, in a way, like if there was that adversity, I don't think Elon Musk is Elon Musk today without the adversity he had in his childhood, for example. So but it's a funny question, because obviously when you raise kids yourself, and it's funny for us to even speak about, but I like the fact that obviously you want your kids to have the best time in childhood, and you want to spend as much time as possible with them. But at the same time, does that exclude them from actually being like the there's Elon Musk of the world?
Danish saying the bjørnetjeneste. You're doing it means you're doing something that seems like it's good for them and they will be happy, but in the end it's actually gonna make them like in a less good position later. yeah, you can feed a man fish, or you can teach him how to fish and find his own. Yeah, I think, yeah, but it's a hard decision, and I think that you need to give the child the option of having all the money in the world and having an easy life, or they want to have the normal, more hard life. Like, life is hard, but you can protect yourself with money if you want to have an easy life.
Yeah, I think you can find a way to give that adversity of at least like similar sort of thing through sports or other means, like for example, like doing
hard
martial arts.
Yeah.
So take him away from that spoiled, wealthy, whatever environment, and then have him
Some
discipline and whatever. And, maybe go travel to the slums of India or Africa, and actually see how different people can have.
Yeah. I have one more question: is what would you change in your life today if you had a choice?
As in, is there anything I regret and would go back and change, or
like
if I could, wave a wand and then have something or whatever?
I don't think you should think about it as something you want to change, because you need to move forward. Generally in life. But I think, but it's more the second part of the question.
So
is there something you wish you could do today that you can't because of something, or do you feel like you are in the perfect spot right now?
Definitely not. I mean, I think is there something I would just get? No, it's hard because I don't want to get anything handed to me. I want to sort of go through the process. The goals just keep shifting and getting bigger and bigger, and it was never really about the goal. It was about the process. So I think I want to just experience the process. But obviously, it would be nice to have, not necessarily win the lottery, but say I win a big poker tournament tomorrow, and that sort of expedites my process, and then I can sort of, because I have so many things I want to prioritize spending money on. Right now, it's launching this business. Another thing is taking my whole family to Turkey for a complete health checkup. But that's two different priorities, and what comes first. And I definitely want to do the health thing a lot, but I also need to sort of create a base for my entrepreneurial and my career and whatever. And then, I also have a plan of building a van that I can live in and go travel, and then go to different poker stops and play poker as a hobby, not as a profession where I sort of need to show up every day or whatever. So if I was to win a big poker tournament tomorrow and had the means to just start doing all those things, that would just expedite the journey for me. But I think I also just enjoy being in the process. Like, I don't mind it taking long. It's obviously frustrating in the moment, but I think when looking back, it was so worth it. And so in that way, I don't want to get anything handed to me, right? Now, being a poker player, there is this thing called variance and expected value. There's two terms where variance, say you roll the dice, or you roll the roulette between red and black.
Mm-hmm.
Variance would be you placing your bet on black, and then it becomes red 5-10 times in a row. That doesn't mean that the odds were changed at any point. It was still 50-50, but the variance made it so that it came red 10 times, right? So in my perspective as a poker player, if variance turned more my way tomorrow, that would be the deciding factor in me winning a poker tournament. Obviously, there's thousands of decision points in between me starting a tournament and winning or whatever. And then your EV, your expected value of every decision, is X, and sometimes you can make the absolute best decision in the moment, but then still lose. So I don't know where I really wanted to go with that, but I don't want to get anything handed, but at the same time, it would be nice to expedite my process. But what would you say?
I totally agree. But I think the problem with money is that when you're not having any money, it's like something it will take a lot of your time and energy to think about it.
Yeah.
But once you have the financial freedom, then I will also continue to take the big risk. Because I think it gives me a purpose to help like humanity become smarter and also to help people is basically the goal of advancing technologies. Is the benefit of this is you can help more people. You can help it more cheaply and you can help them better. So I think it's very important to keep advancing.
Yeah, I mean that reminds me of a quote I heard today as well. Actually, something about making $1 billion. Making $1 billion means that you can help 1 billion people. So it's not just about money and power and creating whatever. It's how many people, or it can be at least about how many people can you help and bring value to.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know.
A funny aspect of this is actually, you know, today in the modern world we live in today, everyone is actually having generally everyone is having a much better life than ever. Everyone is less people are in poverty and more people are having a good life.
Yeah, can put food on the table.
Yeah, but the funny aspect of this is that the people today feel less secure. And they feel like there's more problems and people are having worse lives today.
More depression, more mental illness.
Yeah, exactly. Because of one of the reasons why is the media, which is feeding people the negative news all the time. So people will believe that the world is worse than it is.
Yeah. So I hate the mainstream media just because, and I always tell my parents this, try and think about how many of the news that you just watched, how many news episodes that you just watched are negative versus positive, and it's 95% negative. And how is that? But people don't think about how that is gonna affect their days. When they have just watched the news or whatever, something negative. Could be on social media as well. Right before going to bed, do you not think that your brain is gonna
be angry? Working.
Keep thinking about the negative, and it's gonna
impact your sleep quality.
Impact sleep, impact mood the next day, impact so many other things, and I think generally not to get into energy and all of that, but I think bring some negative, it will show in different ways. I think. There's a lot of power to your thinking, so keep it positive. And it's hard to keep positive if the influence is only negative. But yeah, we definitely agree on that. I actually want to hear more about, about your ambitions.
Yeah. So currently with the company Kamme Lee Consulting, our goal is, as I shortly explained, is to gain the technology sovereignty and advancement back to Europe.
But that's very grand. That's very, far in the future. Nonetheless, but what does that journey look like, you think?
Yeah, so we have made a 3-step plan, and the first step is the consulting part, which is implementing IT solutions and AI for the European companies. Our main focus now is the Danish companies, where we are working as a Microsoft partner to implement the Microsoft solutions, and then we will help with finding a task that the employees don't like, that they have to manually work at every day, and then we will set up the technologies needed to automate this process. So this will make your employees happier to not have to waste the time on the stuff they don't like, and also it will effectivize the company. So it's about working more smart and not more hard, but working smarter to use technology as an advantage. Is the main goal for our first step, and the second step is the technological sovereignty, as I talked about. And our last step is about AI, where we want to take part in the AI race and develop a
language model.
Yeah, but it's like a unified and like one large language model for the whole of Europe.
Right. But yeah, I mean, we have all these large language models, the most popular ones, Claude, Anthropic, OpenAI, ChatGPT, and Gemini, and whatever.
Yeah.
That are US based and they're closed source mostly. I mean, there's been attempts from a lot of places, also in the EU, although you don't hear much about it, to do open source versions. And obviously, when you're not already in the race and competing with Anthropic and OpenAI, you have to sort of take the Chinese game plan and only do open source and use. I mean, it's just what I hear, but a lot of the open source Chinese models were trained on the data, basically mining data from the other US based companies. So training in that way, which means they have to have like less compute to train in general. Maybe it's looking ahead for 5 years before that becomes a reality.
Yeah.
But obviously, what the companies that we are seeing now in the AI space, we're so early. That's not the only ones. Maybe you don't know how the landscape is going to be in 10 years, 20 years, 50, 30 years, whatever. But I think, yeah, so do you agree that it kind of has to be open source and sort of following the Chinese way, but then being the best open source model in Europe for companies to use?
Yeah.
And also, I mean,
the governments
and regular people, because it's about trust, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think the way to solve the trust is with the step 2, which is like technological sovereignty, where our goal is to have local data centers in the companies and also the government. So either the companies will host like a smaller data center for themselves, or we will host like a managed shared data center like Microsoft, but owned by Europe.
Yeah.
So I think we need to work towards finding a way that the companies can have that data secured either locally, that they safeguard themselves, or managed by Europe, where Europe is together to do it. But
how hard is that going to be in Europe? Because it's capital and resources,
the problem is
energy.
not only the capital. The problem is that we have been taught by America that we need the cloud solutions. So we have gotten used to having everything on the cloud. But what the cloud is basically is the same. It's just the servers are, instead of being owned by Europeans, then now the servers are owned by Americans.
But because they have an environment for business like that to thrive and come up and win, and then ultimately become almost monopolies in you at least. But I mean, I think, at least from my knowledge, capital is definitely harder to find in Europe.
Yeah, definitely.
But don't you also think, just pretty much every political or every government in Europe is like
working each other,
toward another, like to basically moving away from that in a way? I mean, not saying every government, but like I think it creates a mindset where people don't see the benefit in putting a data center in Denmark, or putting the data center in whatever, name any country in Europe. I just think the mindset doesn't. It definitely, it's tough to convince people that that's the way to go.
But it's basically about having the safety of your country and your future in your own hands instead of giving it to someone else. I think it's the best, and more like if you want to become a powerhouse like America and China, you have to have your own like infrastructure. You can't trust other countries.
But I don't know. I can't remember who I heard talk about this, but I found it definitely fascinating. But thinking about the world to come, or the world in the future, to not be restricted by borders.
Oh, yeah.
So that the world is one. That was obviously. I mean, how are we gonna end up there? Because there's so many different ideologies working against each other. But
but that's basically what Europe was supposed to be, like this, like no borders, and like one union.
Yeah.
But what we have now is we have 40 countries. I don't know actually how many. 40 countries. No, maybe less.
I feel like I can't remember off the top of my head, but I feel like in the 30s or something.
Yeah, around this. But now we have 30 different leaders who want to, like 30 different countries with 30 different leaders who can't agree on one thing, and then they are fighting against each other to have it their way.
Yeah.
So it's like instead of having one leader, you have 30 smaller leaders that won't agree on anything. That's what we ended up with in Europe. We have the...
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely pros and cons, but I don't know what it would require if the whole world sort of were to see or try and...
You
try and do things together, like, it's sort of a... tough world to live in. Yeah.
I think the only way you could unify to have like this, then you would need one leader overall for every continent.
Yeah.
You would need one leader.
For the whole world, right?
One leader for the whole world. Is the only way you could unify all the world.
Yeah.
Because when you have more than one leader, they will just be arguing and not... When you don't have one leader, then you can't act. Because you need approval from all the other leaders.
So, makes sense.
So in the EU, there's just a lot of talk, and there's no acting.
Yeah. True. It's really an imaginary world to even think about. Do you think that that if nothing changes in the EU, that it's gonna be basically the place where people go to enjoy life?
Yeah, that's how I see Europe now.
Yeah.
It's just a slow life where you can have a normal job and have a wife or a husband and have your children, and then you will retire when you become 60, 70, 75 maybe. And then you will just enjoy retirement. Yeah. I don't feel like it's a place when you have a big ambitions and a lot of entrepreneurship. It seems like Europe has lost this like ambition and
I think they call it tall puppy syndrome. It's actually it's a funny term.
Yeah, can you explain this?
Yeah, but I think maybe the term is from like the UK or Australia. I think where. Basically, you don't want to be the tallest flower. You don't want to be the one sticking out, because then everybody else is gonna be, looking at you and tearing you down in a way. And so, obviously, that's Jantelov in Denmark, where you don't. You kind of have to.
Ambitions.
Yeah, you kind of have to follow the unwritten rules
of not doing anything big and living a normal life. And not having any grand ambitions.
Yeah, really, I think the way to change that would be in the education system, going from
the job education system, job focused education system.
Yeah, but starting there in a way, teaching people to be entrepreneurs and to solve problems, or like find the problems, find a solution, find a way to solve it, and
think for themselves.
You use the tools at hand, where to test your hypothesis and sort of get things to market, and a mindset of not being the consumers only on social media, like instead being the creator, actually create some value and gets eyes on some important project, and learns to run a business, I think it starts with redoing the whole school system before, and then obviously you can tell yourself that then it takes the 15 years, 20 years for that to sort of make a big impact on the whole economy and the whole Europe in this case. That's a long horizon, but I think that's where it sort of needs to start, because if you can think that long term, then you know that in 20 years you have so many entrepreneurs who just crush it, who have the experience already from the school program, who are just going to come into the world and create a lot of value, and then that value is going to,
but the way you do this is you will have a more broad education system. So today the traditional system is you will specialize in one field, but if you broaden the education and you teach people more broad knowledge, and then they will have easier time becoming entrepreneurs, and they will also have a harder time to become replaced by AI if you become too specialized.
In a sense I agree, but also disagree, because I think the early part of the education system is too broad in a way, because when you're at a high school and gymnasium, it's just too broad.
But you have to learn, too much. Some people, you have to learn the basics. So everyone
of course.
But I think in the future you need to learn a lot more broad, because
I think you just need to solve one. You need to think in problems and how to solve it, and then stick to that, and then being able to be adaptive and pivot.
But once that's also a broader education, because you learn to solve different problems. In the traditional system, you only learn to solve one problem. You learn to become a specialized engineer or specialized
or just someone who can work in a
but what I think is that you need to keep on educating yourself throughout the life. That's the future education system is. Traditionally, people after it finish their university, they will stop learning new stuff the rest of their life. They don't pick up any books, and they don't learn new stuff. And then you will, if you do this in the society we have today, then you will become far behind, because of AI will keep developing. So the people who do this will have a serious issue in the future if they don't want to keep on learning new stuff. It's also a part of life to learn new stuff. You need to be like a child and expand be curious and expand your knowledge, and it will also make you happy to learn new stuff, even in exercise. When you learn a new exercise, you brought me to the High Rocks event recently. It was also a big challenge, but also fun to experience.
I kind of also pride myself in always trying to learn. If anything, you maybe are having difficulties getting success in whatever you're doing. But you learned, and if you don't stop learning, that is just gonna be exponential in terms of keep failing in a way, and keep learning, and then all those learnings gonna accumulate, and then eventually have to be successful, because all the knowledge just comes to.
I wanted to add that that learning is exponential. That you will feel like you don't learn in the beginning, but once you start learning, you will exponentially learn faster. It will rapidly learn more and more and more and faster and faster. And that's the cool thing about learning.
And just, I guess also going back to the education system, you have to be equipped to know how to learn yourself, and not just follow whatever the teacher says to learn and read. Because also, as a child, you are so instinctually against doing what you're being told in a way, because it takes all the fun out of it. But what if people, the children, were taught what questions to ask and how to learn with AI, for example, and sort of
learn their
own ways, go down the road that actually inspires and excites them. And then what is then the sort of the compounding effect and the exponential effect is going to start way earlier than the two of us
Mm.
Where for myself, like I didn't read a book until, fully by myself until I was 19, 20.
Yeah.
And then sort of, you could say in a way, my exponentiality and my learning curve started there, instead of it starting way before.
Yeah.
And creating that excitement.
Because
And there are people,
yeah.
if you think about the people who say they have always read since they were children, they are so way ahead, usually, right?
Yeah.
Like, also, as I said before, I like listening to this founders podcast, and that is just like very common thing for successful entrepreneurs to say, that they read a lot, they just keep learning.
Yeah, and also very often they will say that maybe they have went to some business school or whatever, but what they say they learned is that they didn't. What they know today, they haven't learned from the school, but they learned it from the books. Because they weren't taught this in the school system. So a lot of the knowledge in books is a lifetime worth of knowledge in one book from one person, if you find the right book.
I mean, there are these books, like just one example that comes to mind is the book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I think everybody who sees that book title are like, I'm not sure that's a good book, I'm not sure I'm gonna read it. But I think that book is from the 70s or 80s or something. And it's like a really known book. So even though it's so old, like it's still very
relevant.
popular and it's very relevant, and the things that are being said are just so, applicable to
human,
to every day, no matter what period you live in.
My favorite writer is Robert Greene. Actually, he's a very smart guy who wrote the first book he wrote was 48 Laws of Power, which is a book that will teach you the rules of power and political game in real life. From like workplace power games between you and the other employees, but also between you and the boss. If you prove yourself to be of like a maybe greater value to the company than the boss, maybe he will start to look down towards you and maybe look into getting you fired. To push to eliminate like the threat that you are becoming. But also he has one book I'm reading now from Robert Greene is, I think it's called 33 Strategies of War, which is where he analyzed like historical figures and find out the way they like won and had success in life. From Napoleon Bonaparte to like Leonardo da Vinci and all these people. They had they all had to fight and become successful. They use the strategies to fight and become successful. But reading even just 10 pages a day is perfectly fine.
Because then at least you get the
habit.
I mean, I guess one thing we've talked about before is sort of you wanting to implement Microsoft and use their software, whereas I can see that's definitely sort of the most established software out there. But why that rather than sort of the frontier, implementing all the newest things?
The reason why we use Microsoft is because it's like the already established business for office and companies to use. I think they have around 80% of all the businesses in the world will use Microsoft software for the company. And also the infrastructure is what we want to. We don't want to necessarily replace the software, but we want to replace the data centers of the software. So it's more of a security reason why we want to move away from Microsoft. It's not because it's not a good product, but it's because Europe has to find its own systems and its own security background.
That makes perfect sense. I'm more thinking, what is the advantage for you to, as a consulting business, go to establish Danish businesses and implementing or helping with
It's because there's
because if they already have it, sort of.
Yeah, but they haven't implemented it fully. The Danish companies will use a more basic version of Microsoft.
Right.
So one example is that most Danish companies, pretty much all, will use the CI systems, which is the normal like customer relationship systems. But Microsoft actually already implemented something called CXM systems, which is customer experience management systems. And these will take it to the next step, which will help you. One of the aspects is customer journeys, where they will analyze from the customer steps into the door to they buy and step out of the door. And I think there's a lot of data in this that the Danish companies don't think about at all. And also gathering feedback from the customer and all this need to be automated.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, the reason why we're working Microsoft is because it's a stepping stone for us to work towards the next steps.
Okay. I remember you saying, that a lot of the small, medium businesses in Denmark are sort of so way behind that trying to implement some agentic automated system from the get-go is they would sort of need to get all new hardware, and maybe they don't have really the use for it other than like the administration part.
Yeah.
So is it just also being easier to come in and implement?
Yeah, so that's the part. Is the problem is, one example is my local business friend I have. She wants to implement a lot of AI and new tech stuff, and she knows she needs to do it, but the process of actually doing it, of actually implementing it, is what's stopping. The friction in that is the reason why they haven't done it. Yeah. And that's why the Kamme Lee Consulting company is an implementation business. So we are implementing IT solutions and AI solutions. Yeah. So we want to help the business with the technology we have today, but our goal is also to make the technologies ourselves in the future.
Yeah. Cool. Like looking at the future, yeah. And I guess it also comes from your previous experience, like also implementing or having to do with the hardware part.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of like big leaders where they fail to communicate with their lower down the chain of command. So often when a new leader is selected as a like CEO or C-suite people, they will want to implement like new stuff. But when they do it, they often fail to communicate with the employees about what actually needs to be changed. Yeah, so sometimes they just do the change just to make a change, but without thinking about, is it actually helpful? And that's what we will want to assist, to advise and help them make the best decisions.
Yeah, okay, I see. And also if there's a need for setting up new hardware and stuff like that. Yeah. That comes with the package.
Yeah, of course. Okay. We have a broad range of services. Yeah. Yeah. We work with hardware and software. How does a productive day look like in your schedules? What do you think is a good way to start a day?
Right. Yeah, I think I've been trying out all sorts of different schedules for me. Like right now, what I find to be the best is actually straight out of bed, taking a shower, brushing my teeth, obviously, but then going into just playing poker, which is my primary income at the moment. So yeah, I have like a 5-6 hour block of playing poker straight after I've woken up. And then I usually wait with breakfast till around 9, so 2 hours in. Yeah, so getting that done and then having lunch straight after that, and then being active is what I usually do. I'll either go train, run, or postpone that till the evening, because sometimes I do sessions, group sessions in the evening. But then if you were to look at my schedule right now, it's basically that, and then filling in sort of the rest of the day with just work on Salome, the new e-commerce project. And then I really have tried and just simplified it a lot, and that's really what my day looks like. Ideally, I want to read in the evening. I want to stretch and sort of not be on my screen until I go to bed, or on my computer, that is. But sometimes I just end up sitting, working until I go to bed. Sometimes I will feel like my brain is fried way earlier than that, and then I will just watch a movie or whatever, if I'm home or not. Depends. But I think that looks like that's what a very productive day looks like.
Yeah. And how would you fit this into a traditional job where you have to work from 8 to 4?
Yeah.
Where you have to be at an office and you
Yeah.
have to work from 8 to 4.
Yeah.
And then what I want to say is the optimal schedule that you're setting now is not really possible.
Yeah.
For normal working people,
right.
In a day job.
Yeah, because obviously depending on how flexible where you work, but no, I like going straight into work because I don't know, I feel like that it's very productive hours in the morning, and then my poker work day is sort of out of the way, and the sort of second half of the day is everything else. I've tried dividing my poker sessions into all throughout the day, 2 hours, 2 or 3 sessions a day. And when I played tournaments, my session would start at 5 p.m. and end sometimes at 5 a.m. So in the morning, and then my sleep schedule would be all fucked up. So, I think it comes from prioritizing my sleep as well.
You have the problem when you're not an entrepreneur and you have your own company.
Yeah.
And you work as an employee, you can't decide. You can't prioritize the same way.
Yeah.
So I think the companies today should think more about health in general for the employees. So they should include maybe 1 hour break to either go for a walk or maybe have a gym at the office where they could exercise and have that daily, so they can have the optimal
quality outcome of each individual. Allowing to sort of every individual to optimize their day fully,
while still working at our office.
I think there are some bigger companies. I have a friend who works at Ørsted, and it sounds like they have some freedom to work out during the day and work from home and stuff like that, which is more flexible. I think we also don't have that ultimate hustle culture where you have to be, when you're working in a startup, you have to work 12, 14 hours a day. And sacrifice your health for it. I think in that way, there's a good balance in Denmark in general. From my knowledge, I don't really have any insider knowledge, or at least not that much. But yeah, definitely, it's not the same as picking and choosing your own work times. And you can be an entrepreneur and work best all throughout the night and have a fucked up sleep schedule, but then you still get your work done, and
the next day you will pay with it.
Yeah, that's. Some people have different circadian rhythms and different times of the day where their focus is the highest.
But even through that, we know that when you have exposure to sunlight, your body will get energy, and you will have your circadian rhythm will start from the first time you have sunlight.
Yeah.
So if you are a person who maybe they live more of their life in the dark, then you know that it will be at the cost of your health in the future.
Yeah, definitely a little bit. Not to go too deep into sleep, but I nerded out on that. Obviously, having a sleep-focused business. Yeah, definitely. The point is, your deep and REM sleep is going to be way more fucked and way shorter during your sleep if you go to bed past 10 p.m. basically. I go to bed at 9:30.
and also going to bed the same time every day is
biggest
improvement,
biggest hack improvement for sleep, definitely. But I kind of with me saying I go straight into playing poker in the morning.
Yeah.
I know that the most optimal thing would be to go and get sunlight in the eyes, but I kind of sacrifice that, and that's what it is, kind of. Can't be 100% optimal all the time, and I guess it's also important as an entrepreneur to not let those small little things be sort of an excuse to not get the work done or whatever.
Yeah. And in regards to diet, what do you think is important? What do you think is optimal diet for you?
Just like well-rounded, what is it called? Mediterranean diet. Just, good quality food sources are probably the most important thing. And then just, getting not too many carbohydrates unless you're very active. I mean, I am very active, and I have periods where I run a lot that needs a lot more carbs than other times, but I focus on greens and fruits and proteins mostly.
Me too. I've recently switched to a more high protein diet. I used to be eating less meat because I wanted to restrict my meat intake because of, I think the time I changed my diet to eat less meat, it was the time where I started to care a lot about the carbon emission and the global environment. So I started to eat less meat, but the past 2 years I've had some crashes in the summer, and then I found out recently that it might be because I was intaking too little protein. I was exercising maybe 14 times, sometimes more, per week. And my protein intake was maybe less than 50 grams some days. So that was a big mistake. And I never took any like protein shake or anything. But
that's very interesting. I mean, we've talked about it before. But I mean, it definitely makes sense that it has some sort of consequences.
But it's weird because I never felt anything wrong, like doing my daily, and I could exercise, train my legs like hard one day, and then the next day I could train my legs again. So even legs, like the biggest muscle group, I could still keep on exercising because I had a lot of high creatine levels in my blood. Is I don't remember the exact, but it's above the recommended limit from the doctors. Naturally, so I have a high creatine.
But I also think the way that you mostly used to train was like high intensity but short
periods,
low rep ranges, and like a lot of strength focus. And I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not an expert, but I think that's also a lot of like nervous system
exercise,
activation, where you prime your nervous system to lift heavy rather than something else. But I mean, it's wild that you could sustain it for the while that you did.
And I like one time I would go to work, and then after work I would either play volleyball or exercise, and then one day I would go to the gym first, and then in the evening I would play volleyball. That was like an easy day, and the hard days I would go to the gym to exercise, and then after this I would go to either MMA or kickboxing on the same day. So I would have up to 3 workouts on the same day. So like 3 hours of working out after being to work on some days.
Pretty wild combination.
And I was never tired. I don't remember being tired. When I wake up, I was full of energy every morning.
I remember you saying, but it must just be your cortisol spiking, like
never slowing down.
Never slowing down, like
maybe
full stress activation all the time. Which, I mean, there has to be sort of, because you would also wake up like at 5 a.m. no matter what time you went to bed, right?
And
so
always wake up.
So the thing that happened when people, especially when you get older, you tend to sometimes wake up during the night. And I mean, obviously sometimes it's it can be some bladder problems, whatever. But usually it is just a cortisol spike that comes at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Sort of that's what's supposed to wake you up in the morning and get you out of bed.
Yeah.
And have you energized quite immediately. But I think, your cortisol spike was a little
too high.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've changed my the way I exercise now. I'm exercising a lot less now, and I've actually taken 1 year off the gym.
Yeah.
And then I've only been running.
Yeah.
So I've been running 2 or 3 times a week the past year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Interesting to see what what if it's better.
Yeah, better.
Better combination of everything. Being more focused on the right nutrition, maybe, and But it's funny because, or not funny, but interesting because there's basically only positive things that come from
your diet,
from gym,
from
exercising and gaining muscle and all that.
Yeah.
So I think you eventually wanna rotate some of that in again, but maybe in a different way, maybe just twice a week or whatever. Because there's also just controlling mood and all these things,
from strength
all the
training.
benefits.
Yeah. And also I enjoy strength training more.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy running. I still, even after 1 year, I still think it's very boring to run.
Yeah.
I enjoy sprinting, but I dislike running the same speed for a long time.
Yeah.
For 1 hour or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I think after 5 minutes I already get bored when I run. But I have been running in the winter the past year, and in I think it was, I don't remember if it was January or December, there was snow everywhere, and I was still running the same forest route.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be running in the forest, but with 20-30 centimeters of snow. Every step I took 20-30 centimeters down the snow. And also there was ice sometimes when it was melting or raining, so it would be slippery, and I was running uphill sometimes. So that was one time where I was just slipping all the way up the mountain, or up the hill.
Rough. That's a challenge.
Yeah, but that made it fun actually, because then it was not just running. Now it was some more challenging. It was a extra challenge.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.